Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. We are continuing to plow through Trigernometry's interview with Dr. Anne Furedi, former CEO of the British Pregnancy Advisory Service, a huge chain of abortion facilities. This next section is called A Matter of Choice. And let's see where she goes with this.
Do you think that we trivialise the issue of abortion?
I think it's banded around. I think that we fail to appreciate how women, when they face that positive pregnancy test, have to weigh up some, like a whole load of stuff that is going on in their life. It's like at that point, it really is like you're at a fork in the road. And if you decide to terminate the pregnancy, then
why do pro-choice people weasel and say terminate the pregnancy? You can terminate the pregnancy with a C-section. You can terminate the pregnancy by inducing labor. You can let nature terminate the pregnancy in a live term birth because you just went into labor. The defining characteristic of an abortion isn't that the pregnancy ends, it's that the pregnancy ends in a way that ensures a death of the uterine entity. And I hate the way they weasel like that. It's just so weaselly. It's so dishonest.
Things go on one track. If you decide to have the baby, your life goes on another track. And often for women, it's very nuanced. And I'd be the first person to admit that before I became involved in providing abortion services, I thought it was a much more binary, much more simple decision. I thought it was much more, women kind of know, if they're going to have an abortion or if they want to have a baby, it's pretty clear one way or the other. And I think now I'd say that's not so much. I think that for most women, there's some grey in there, and what a lot of women will say is, if circumstances were different, I'd have the baby.
So why don't we address the circumstances?
Now, sometimes that means that people will say, well, what we should do is work on making better resources for women to be able to continue those pregnancies, and I'm a massive believer in that. But often the things that women want to change are things that you can't change. It's like, I would have the baby if I wasn't 16. I would have the baby if my partner wanted to have the baby.
Did she just use the baby daddy doesn't want the baby as a reason for abortion, that you do it because he wants you to?
But how do you change those things? You really can't. And so again, it comes back to weighing it all up, all things considered. Who is going to be in the best position to...
And as far as she's 16, well, that means, okay, she's probably still in school. How do we enable her to continue school? That means that she's probably still living with her parents. Do we need to work on the living situation? Should she become an emancipated minor like my friend did? Or will she have the support of her parents? Should she raise the baby or make an adoption plan? Just because you're 16 doesn't mean, the dead baby's clearly the way to go here.
To make that decision, isn't it?
Oh, and my partner wants me to abort? How about we tell him to man up, grow a pair, and be a father?
It has got to be her.
But is it?
Is it her though? See,
Whoa! Constantine! Let's hear where he goes with this.
this is like,
Yeah.
I'm going to sound really liberal
No,
here, but
go on.
but I was born when my mother had been 18
Yeah.
for 4 days.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I've worked out perfectly, but I've worked out all right.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Now, fortunately, my parents made the decision that they made, at least fortunately for me, maybe not
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
world,
yeah.
but for me at least, right?
Yeah.
But is an 18-year-old really the best person to make that decision? Like, from a rights point of view, I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
Every human being has the right to make the
Yeah.
decision for themselves
Yeah.
and make their own mistakes and pay the price of that. Everybody does. But when you're talking about something that involves killing another being, and we've talked
Yeah.
about why
Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah.
I hear you, at least. I'm not sure I agree, but I hear you.
Yeah.
Is a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old really the best person to make that decision? Really?
Now, I can hear where she's going to go with it. She's going to go, if they're not ready to make this decision, they're not ready to have the child. I can guarantee that's where she's going with it.
I genuinely really think they are. I know.
I'm surprised.
I've got a good friend who is a very young mum, and the dad is very young as well. They're both under 18, and
Right, but we don't let them vote. We don't let them drink, and yet they can kill another being. Is that what you're telling
or
me?
put it another way, right? She was able to decide what she felt was going to be the best thing, both for her
Yeah.
and for a child that she would give birth to. And she decided with, her boyfriend and with very supportive parents that was the best thing. Now,
Boy, she's making a lot of assumptions there.
as it happens, I think that we've seen a massive hostility to young mothers and to teenage pregnancy over the last 20 years
That's
that
true.
I've been working in the field. I think, there has been, it was really under the Blair government where they started this big thing about reducing the rate of teenage pregnancy, and it was a little bit like it was really bad to get pregnant as a teenager, but having a baby as a teenager was even worse than having an abortion. And I'm not sure that that's true for...
Woo! All right. She's accepting the fact that some young moms can be good moms and that you shouldn't just, chase her onto the abortion table if she's not old enough to drink.
a lot of young girls. There are some of these young girls who are perfectly capable, as indeed there are lots of 30-year-old women who are disastrous mothers. It's not, it's not a very age-related thing. I think it does really decide, it does really depend a lot on what you want to be doing with your life at one time. But,
Okay, so it's getting ready to move to the next area. I'm disappointed that Constantine didn't follow up with the is she really making that decision, because you've just said one of the reasons she might be having an abortion is because the baby daddy wants that. And Constantine, you didn't follow up. Okay, so the next section, human embryos, moral status, moral value, human equivalence. We'll get to that next.